Nagsabi po sila sa akin na madaming product certificates, alin po dito yung ilalagay namin. So I told them to choose just one.
Mago last appeared before the Senate on September 24th when she gave her supposedly most damaging testimony to the Blue Ribbon Committee. She confirmed at the time the claims of a witness identified as a formerly warehouse staff the damaged face shields were not being disposed of. Now, Mago is saying she got confused.
I was really traumatized by what happened, and it really had a negative impact on my mental health po.
The House Public Accountability Panel has repeatedly criticized senators for allegedly politicizing the probe.
Lumilitaw po talaga na kung minsan naaabuso po yung kapangyarihan to conduct formal inquiries and investigation in aid of legislation.
On the other hand, the House inquiry has been criticized as well, with President Duterte's allies seen as using the proceeding to defend the administration's public spending. Mago insists she was not coached to recant her previous claims. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
Senators deny they pressured Farmly official Crizel Mago to admit to tampering allegations. Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Richard Gordon says the questions posed to Mago were delivered, quote, in a calm and very measured manner, unquote. Mago recanting her statement did not come as a surprise for Gordon. He says Mago is now tied to Farmly, which he says is protective of the administration's interests. In a separate interview, Gordon said Mago may have willfully and knowingly made a false statement because she took an oath at the Senate. Senator Frank Drilon points out Mago did not deny the government was swindled, but merely said she was, quote, not in the best frame of mind to think, unquote, a claim Drilon says cannot be corroborated. For Senator Kiko Pangilinan, Mago is a rehearsed witness whose goal, along with that of other Farmly officials, is to allegedly lie and change a testimony when it is all too late. Gordon believes they have a solid case against Farmly and others involved in alleged procurement anomalies. The committee will hold its 10th hearing on the handling of pandemic response funds tomorrow. Now, the Health Department lists 11 pre-existing illnesses that will be accepted as priority in the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines for minors 12 to 17 years old this month. Now, these include medical complexity, genetic and neurologic conditions, obesity, HIV infection, tuberculosis, chronic respiratory disease, and renal disorders. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez also named the 6 hospitals in Metro Manila that will serve as vaccination sites: the Philippine Children's Medical Center, the National Children's Hospital, the Philippine Heart Center, Pasig City Children's Hospital, the Fed Del Mundo Medical Center, and the Philippine General Hospital. Health officials say the child and parent or guardian must give an informed consent and present a medical certificate about the minor's comorbidities. Children will be given Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines, the only brands with regulatory approval for minors. Galvez says the government is allocating 60 million doses for adolescents, or around 26 to 29 million people. We are halfway through the period of formalizing 2022 election bids. Aspirants have 4 days to file their certificates of candidacy. Melissa Lopez joins us live from the Sofitel's Hopper Garden Tent in Pasay City. Melissa, what was today like? And tell us about the latest additions to this growing list of aspirants.
Yes, Pia, the 4th day of filing was busier compared to the previous days as more politicians and party list groups filed their COCs today. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno filed his COC as president just before noon, together with his running mate, Dr. Willie Ong. In his speech, Moreno said it's the first time he has felt so nervous about an upcoming campaign, but he said he and Dr. Ong are ready to serve.
Tanggapin niyo po ang aplikasyon ko. Buong kababaang loob. Bigyan niyo po ako ng pagkakataon. Paghilumin natin ang ating bansa para sa magandang kinabukasan na ating inaasam.
They are the second confirmed tandem for next year, running under Acción Democrático. Apart from Moreno, 11 other aspirants filed their COCs for president today. Among them, independent bets Sonny Boy Andrade, Alfredo Respuesto, Faisal Mangundato, Gabriela Larot, and Juanita Troceño, who sang in lieu of a speech. Another revelation, it's not just PDP Laban grappling with an internal rift. The group Philippine Green Republican Party says it has two sets of standard bearers. The second faction filed a full slate of 12 senatorial bets today. Their leader, Leo Pagadian, says they will have the earlier COCs of June Yulaga and Alex Lage annulled. Pagadian, however, was declared a nuisance candidate in the last two elections. Several party lists also submitted their list of nominees today, including Gabriela Ascenso, AKAP, Truck Drivers Philippines, Ako IP, and Aangat Kosinerong Pinoy, with celebrity chef Boy Logro as their first nominee. Pia?
Melissa, what is the running total for COCs received since the beginning of the filing period last Friday, October 1?
Yes, so far, Pia, we have 20 presidential candidates, or aspiring candidates rather, 7 for the vice presidency, 39 for senator, and 48 party list groups wanting a seat in Congress so far. Back to you.
Melissa Lopez there reporting. A guessing game on whether Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte will run for president. Although she filed a COC for re-election, her father, President Duterte, says she will still run for the highest post in tandem with Senator Bongo. A political analyst say voters already know this kind of game and the tactic may backfire among them. Our David Santos has more.
After weeks of speculation on his political plans, President Duterte bared over the weekend his surprise withdrawal from next year's election.
And today, I announce my retirement from politics.
His longtime aide, Senator Bongo, taking over his slot as vice presidential aspirant.
So, klaro po ito, Sara, go.
Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, who filed her candidacy for re-election just an hour after her father's announcement, has no comment.
Kumbaga, nabuhayan kami ng pag-asa.
Aldrin Fermin is part of a network of supporters asking Mayor Sara to succeed her father in Malacanang. They have been clamoring for the president to give way for his daughter. Now they hope Sara would also heed their call.
Yung kasi yung talagang hinihiling namin na pakinggan niya yung damdamin ng masang Pilipino.
While many may find the president's decision unexpected, for some voters, it did not come as a surprise.
We'll never know kung tactics lang nila yon para lang makakuha ng simpatya ng tao.
Hindi naman kasi final pa na magre-retiro na talaga siya. Marami siyang mga changes when it comes sa mga words na binibitawan niya.
Strategy lang nila yun eh, parang sasabihin nila hindi tatakbo, ganyan. Then after last minute, tatakbo na.
Political analyst Julio Tihanki telling CNN Philippines Newsroom Weekend, Mayor Sara's seeming indecision could be part of a game plan. Despite her public denial she's seeking the presidency, the presidential daughter remains ahead in surveys.
Pag maaga ka nag-declare, ikaw, at lalo na kung ikaw ay nangunguna, ikaw ay pupukulin ng lahat ng banat ng mga kalaban mo at by the time na campaign proper na, medyo mababa na ang political capital mo.
But this strategy may also be a double-edged sword. Mayor Sara's recent numbers showing a slight decline.
Ang delikado dyan, baka mawala na ng interes ang mamamayan sa kandidatura ni Mayor Sara kung hindi siya magdidesisyon pa.
With the political landscape still very fluid, Mayor Sara prefers to keep everyone guessing. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Sara Duterte canceled a trip to Singapore tomorrow after her companion tested positive for COVID-19. She filed a medical leave beginning tomorrow until October 8th for this trip. Back to square one. That is where PDP Laban stands in its choice of presidential candidate. Well, that's according to a faction led by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi. He confirms to CNN Philippines their new prospect as standard bearer has declined the nomination. PDP Laban's Secretary General Melvin Matibag said Cusi already signed the certificate of nomination for the unnamed nominee. Matibag refused to give more details. He also denies the other faction's claim that the Cusi wing has a, quote, secret agenda, unquote. The group, led by Senators Manny Pacquiao and Coco Pimentel, has accused the Cusi wing of plotting to support the candidacy of Mayor Sara even if she is not from PDP Laban.
We don't have to broadcast everything publicly kasi sa matter of political strategy, di ba? I'll just give us the leeway kasi syempre medyo sensitive. There are a lot of political maneuvers and political understanding na kailangan nating i-address. Everything is not sasabing secret. So this is an election. Alam nyo naman yung election, labanan yan.
Matibag adds the party is looking at no more than 5 names to replace Senator Bongo. Now, when we return on Newsnight, we take a look at where Tropical Depression Lani is headed, and the Commission on Elections will begin the review of an essential component in the automated election system. Keep it here on CNN Philippines.
DXKP Pagadian, ang inyong Radyo Ronda RPN. RPN, Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. Live to the world, pinaagi sa FB page, karon mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas ipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. Ang mas ipakuskan nga inyong Radyo Ronda. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas. RPN, Radio Philippines Network. Radio Ronda. DXKP Pagadian. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas. RPN, DXKP Pagadian, ang inyong Radyo Ronda. RPN. RPN, Radio Philippines Network.
Hastily called controversial election and of the country's dramatic return to democracy. More than 30 volunteer encoders left their workstations on that fateful day of February 9, 1986. They said results were manipulated to favor then-President Ferdinand Marcos. A parallel count by poll watchdog NAMFREL showed opposition candidate Cory Aquino in the lead. It was history in the making. Would the sea of change have turned otherwise without the vigilance of citizens groups? In 1983, NAMFREL pioneered citizen-based election monitoring in the world. 3 years later, the group became a key stakeholder in the snap election, enlisting up to 500,000 volunteers. The volunteers were on watch in polling precincts and at the same time conducted a parallel vote count, as Filipinos, wary of alleged massive fraud, closely guarded the ballots.
We would know if the count is believable or has been manipulated. You have to ensure the integrity of the elections, that the elections will reflect the true will of voters.
The COMELEC accredits citizens groups every election to help promote voter interest and assist in poll activities.
Yan ang pinakamahalagang criteria. Non-partisan, walang kinikilingan. And then, titingnan natin kung meron silang kakayanan.
With the advent of automated elections, the citizens' arm remains a key participant in the process, with access to the COMELEC system to conduct an unofficial parallel count. The partial results would then be validated with physical copies of election returns. Besides NAMFREL, the PPCRV has also been accredited to do the quick count. Other poll watchdogs mushroomed through the years, though not necessarily accredited by the COMELEC.
We focus more on fraud as well as the misuse and abuse of government resources vis-a-vis the election.
With the COVID-19 pandemic likely extending to the election period, poll watchdogs say the biggest challenge is getting Filipinos to show up in polling centers to vote. They are calling on the Commission on Elections to make sure voting areas will be safe from the virus and secure from fraud.
Welcome back to News Night, where we go above and beyond the headlines. A check now on Tropical Depression Lani. It was last spotted in the vicinity of Gihulngan, Negros Oriental, where it made landfall past 3 this afternoon. The Tropical Depression will move west-northwestward over the Visayas tonight before hitting land again in northern Palawan or the Calamian Islands tomorrow morning. It's forecast Lani forecast to exit the country on Thursday. Signal number 1 up in 14 areas in Luzon and the Visayas, including the southern parts of Masbate, Romblon, and the Mindoro provinces, as well as in Capiz, Aklan, Antique, Iloilo, Cebu, and Bohol. These areas will have moderate to heavy rains and strong winds with occasional gusts today until tomorrow morning. Lani brought continuous rains in Cebu province on Sunday. This triggered a number of landslides that blocked roads until today in the cities of Toledo and Cebu. Coast Guard canceled all trips in the province, leaving 200 passengers stranded. A major road in the municipality of Taft in eastern Samar also closed to motorists. A landslide occurred because of heavy rainfall. In southern Leyte, rescuers evacuated 30 people in a flood-prone area in Silago town. The Commission on Elections kicks off the source code review ahead of the 2022 polls. This is a crucial step to make sure the automated election system will be glitch-free and to boost confidence in the conduct of the polls. Tristan Adal reports.
A process that will determine the credibility of the 2022 general election results, that's where the Commission on Elections is right now, as it reviews the local source code, which contains a set of human-readable instructions that tells what a computer system should do, and a proper assessment that will boost public acceptance, transparency, and confidence of the automated election system. The review covers a supply chain from the printing of ballots, vote counting machine, and canvassing process. It begins Tuesday and will run until March 2022. The COMELEC points out new features or enhancements in the 2022 elections, including digital signatures, QR code features, and allowing the proclamation of a lone candidate after receiving one transmission. Independent reviewers say hacking the system is still a remote possibility.
Our objective is broken down as to ensure that the AES function as it should as expected, that the code is clean and without embedded malicious code, and that we are able to identify any critical or major issues or errors that could potentially impact the outcome of the election.
Hindi masyadong malaki yung risk in terms of hacking. The system itself has a lot of security features.
The COMELEC says it will review processes that could have a potential impact on the integrity of the polls to prevent situations like the 7-hour glitch in the 2016 elections.
Ngayon, idadaanan natin sa review to make sure na maiwasan natin yung mga problema in the past, no? Na small details which would be innocuous, wala naman talagang malaking epekto, pero outsized yung impact niya, no, in terms of credibility, in terms of transparency. So isasama na natin yan.
Representatives from political parties, election watch groups, citizens armed group, and independent IT groups will join the source code review. Strict health protocols will be carried out and security will be tight here at the Diamond Hotel in Manila. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
A look now at those who filed their certificates of candidacy for local posts. Former President and House Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo again vies for a congressional seat in Pampanga, seeking to replace her eldest son. Arroyo's lawyer filed her COC for representative of the province's 2nd District on October 1st. Arroyo held the post for 3 straight terms beginning in 2010 after she finished her stint as president. Her son Mikey occupied the seat in 2019. Former Comelec Commissioner Gregorio Larrazabal files his COC for Representative Leyte's 4th District. Larrazabal will face Ormoc City Mayor Richard Gomez, who will attempt to switch seats with his wife Lucy, the district's incumbent representative. Larrazabal and Torres Gomez were part of the initial senatorial lineup released by the tandem of Senators Ping Lacson and Tito Soto, but their names were removed from the updated list last month. We are going to see more aspirants filing their certificates of candidacy this week, as over 18,000 posts are up for grabs in next year's elections. But before running for an elective office, an aspirant should meet the minimum standards set by law. Let's watch this.
Who can run in the 2022 elections? The certificate of candidacy is one's ticket to seek an elective office. But what makes someone qualified for the job? For president and vice president, the person should be a natural-born citizen, registered voter, can read and write, and at least 40 years old on election day. The candidate should also be a resident of the country for at least 10 years before the polls. A sitting president cannot seek re-election, but a vice president may run for a second term. Candidates for the Senate have the same qualifications, but the age limit is lower at 35 years old, and residency is at least 2 years before election day. A senator can seek re-election, but only for a second straight term. Much younger aspirants can run for district representative, at least 25 years old on election day, a registered voter in the district, and a resident of the same place for not less than a year before election day. For an even lower age requirement of at least 18 to 23 years old, candidates for local positions, governor, vice governor, provincial board member, mayor or vice mayor, and city or municipal councilor must meet these conditions. A registered voter and resident for at least 1 year in the barangay, district, municipality, city or province where they're seeking office.
We hope that all the candidates will cooperate, especially the nuisance candidates. Please, I am begging you, do not do this as a hobby. Do not do this for fun. Do not do this for your Facebook and Instagram post. Do not fill up that certificate of candidacy if you are not seriously running for office.
It's now open season for the elections, and voters should be wise to choose candidates based on history, advocacies, concrete plans, and other credentials to make sure they elect leaders who can govern well and bring change to the nation.
Coming up on Newsnight, amid celebrations in the crowning of the new Miss World Philippines, netizens call out the organization about the candidates' long hours on stage. Details after a quick break.
DXKP Pagadian, ang inyong Radyo Ronda RPN. RPN, Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. Live to the world, pinaagi sa FB page, karon mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play og Apple Store, YouTube og Twitter. Alang sa mas ipakuskan nga mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran og kalingawan. Ang mas ipakuskan nga inyong Radyo Ronda.
Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas. RPN, Radio Philippines Network. Patuloy na naglilingkod sa bayan. Mas todong pagseserbisyo publiko. Mas todong lakas. Mas pinakihinggan ng buong bansa.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines News Overseas. Taiwan reports 77 Chinese warplanes entered its air defense identification zone on Friday and Saturday, the highest numbers since the island began publicly reporting such activities last year. Taipei issued radio warnings and deployed air defense missile systems in response to the incursions. Taiwan and mainland China have been governed separately since the civil war ended over 7 decades ago, but Beijing views the island as an inseparable part of its territory. North Korea reopening communications with South Korea after cutting ties in July. Seoul's Unification Ministry confirmed Pyongyang responded via hotline this morning. A communications link between the two countries' militaries has also been restored. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to restore hotlines last week after South Korean President Moon Jae-in called for an end to the war before the United Nations. Fumio Kishida takes office as Japan's 100th Prime Minister after a special session of Parliament today. The 64-year-old Kishida is tasked to lead the world's third largest economy out of the COVID-19 pandemic, which his predecessor Yoshihide Suga struggled to contain. Kishida has proposed a hefty recovery package worth several tens of trillions of yen to steer Japan's economy out of its pandemic-induced slump. Now back here at home, the founder of Pampanga's Best and creator of the original tocino passed away yesterday at the age of 84. The death of Leticia Lolita Olalia Hizon, or Apung Lolet, was announced on the Facebook page of the famous meat processing brand. The company has operated since 1967 and is credited for first inventing and selling the sweet and salty tocino dish. Honoring her memory, the post also talked about her serving the people of San Fernando and Bacolor and her work as a philanthropist. Now on to other news. This year's Miss World Philippines marred by netizens' outrage after a controversial question from Judge Presidential Spokesman Harry Roque and two stumbles from its newly crowned queen Tracy Maureen Perez. The anger directed at the pageant's organization, with the coronation night stretching to almost 7 hours. Netizens said contestants were exhausted. Some blamed the unfortunate two-time tumble, one before Perez's crowning and the other during her first walk as the new Miss World Philippines, on the organizers' failure to take the welfare of participants into account. Netizens also quick to criticize the presidential spokesperson's question to Cebu Province Representative Shaila Rebortera. Roque asked what advice she would give the front-runner for president about running despite having very young children. Critics claimed the question was misogynistic, pointing out how he laughed after Rebortera gave an answer. But Roque defended his question when brought up at a media briefing in Pampanga. He said the reactions online were OA, or overacting, and that it was a valid question. Now, in the end, Rebortera's answer impressed the judges, winning her the Miss Multinational Philippines title. Reina Hispano-Americana Filipinas is Emmanuel Vera. Miss Environment Philippines is Michelle Arceo, and Miss Eco Teen Philippines is Tatiana Austria. The night also saw other winners in Trisha Martinez as Miss Tourism Philippines and Kathleen Paton as Miss Eco Philippines. 82 days left before Christmas, and that is it for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again at 7 for News.ph. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Han, doon naman tayo sa mga damit.